Welcome to Ask Earl Anything. It's the show where your questions make the show, and without any questions, I don't really have a show. Now, this is for June 2023. The month of May and the lead up to May has been an interesting time of my life. And I want to start by saying that, and I only bring my son into this because it's the beginning point of the journey that got me to May and what happened in May this year. Since my son passed away, since COVID, and all of the fear and the grief we all felt through that time, I was feeling grief for my son, of course, the loss of my son, but the COVID brought the grief to everybody in the world, loss of life as we knew it. Coming through 2 years of COVID pretty heavily, 20 and 21, getting into last year and going through a lot of other personal grief on my wife's side of the family, and having to realize that if I want to live and come out of that shell of grief, I had to learn how to live again. And part of living was traveling. And believe it or not, I didn't travel a lot during COVID. As you all know, I made a lot of drum covers because I was working from home and living at home and quite happy at home. And it became my musical outlet was home, even though I was still doing some church gigs and things like that. But in 2022, last year, we had to travel a little bit. We had to go to New Jersey three times. I had to travel to Texas and Virginia on business. And by the end of the year last year, my wife, who has been saying to me since 2019, we were planning on going in 2020 or 2021, she kept saying, we need to go to Italy. And I'm going, well, I'd like to go to Italy, but I don't know how I feel about it with the world the way it was. So I will say to you that the last few years has been a tough time to get myself to a place where I could travel again. Now you're talking about a person who traveled a lot in my career in my day gig career. I traveled a lot. Matter of fact, I'm a Platinum Elite member at Marriott for over 900 stays in Marriott hotels over my lifetime. And that's not all the other hotels I stayed at. It's not all the plane rides and all the other things. I wasn't a complete every week traveler, but I traveled a lot. And for the last few years, I haven't wanted to travel at all. So in May of this year, we just got back last weekend. This is the weekend after the Memorial Day weekend in the United States. This is the weekend of June 3rd, I believe it is. 3rd or 4th. Today is the 4th, I think. We traveled to Italy in the middle of the month of May. And we started in Milan, and we all went all the way down to Sorrento, Isle of Capri, Amalfi Coast, Naples, spent some time in Perugia, and then we traveled back to Milan to fly home. And all I can say to you was it was a wonderful experience for my wife and I. It was a great trip. We had a lot of fun, and it started to take me out of my shell of staying in the United States, staying at home, and not traveling. And believe it or not, that was a big fear to get over and a big hurdle to get over. Now, needless to say, when we traveled, we didn't make a lot of spectacle of it. You thought everything was the same old. But I spent a lot of time in January, February, March to kind of stack up some extra covers. So I've been out of cover land for about 3 weeks. Last week when I got home, I started making covers again. So my covers are a little erratic. I'm actually sprinkling them in with some old alt takes that I have hanging around. I've got probably 2 months worth of alt takes hanging around. So I have plenty of alternate take stuff to shuffle in there, but I like to keep things fresh and new, as you all know. So during the month of May, I didn't get a lot of questions. And I think that there's another thing going on here in the midst of all this, even though my channel continues to grow a little bit at a time. I think the drumming community on YouTube is pretty splintered between making drum covers that some people watch, and then all this short stuff that everybody gets lost in. I don't know if any of you have realized this or even looked at your viewing habits, But when you get lost in a TikTok or a short or an Instagram video, they just scroll through and you get more inundated with crap you didn't necessarily want to see, but it just shows up and you keep thumbing through crap. Well, I think that's hurting the way YouTube used to be. You know, there was a time here when I started on YouTube, back in the 2010s, I'll call it. I didn't officially start really doing YouTube as trying to get subscribers until 2017. But prior to that, I would put out a video and, you know, people would watch it, and I was watching other people's covers. And it seemed like people were engaged and people would want to watch the whole cover. Now we've gotten to a world where we can't even take in bite-sized videos of more than 57 seconds according to YouTube. So now we have these things called shorts. I've done some shorts. I don't enjoy doing shorts. They're a lot of work for a little nothing, and I don't think it produces anything to watching the video I really want you to watch. So you will see me do a short once in a while. You will see me post on Instagram once in a while, which I haven't done a lot of either. That's another area that I used to post a lot. Got no return for that and said, why am I doing this other than for some friends that watch me on Instagram? I have friends that watch me on YouTube, and that's that core 50 people that watch almost every video I do, and I want to thank you all for watching my videos every day. And then there's the other people that find me, and they find me for different reasons. Sometimes they find me because they need to learn a song and I happen to cover it. Or they're in a yacht rock band and they're going to be doing a bunch of songs, so they find me. Or I just stumbled onto the right song that day and it just got in the feed and somebody found it that way and said, hey, this guy's not too bad and his drums sound pretty cool and he's got a neat looking kit. And then they start watching a few of my videos. Then they realize I got different setups for every video almost. And, you know, then they subscribe. And that's how I get subscribers. It's kind of a constant flow of either the feed or people looking for a specific reason to find my videos, usually to learn songs. And I really get a lot of my people that follow me all the time, they started by learning songs. Oh, I want to learn this song. They found me, Earl Bennett, and that's how they landed on my channel. The shorts don't do that for me. They don't really get me anything. They do get me some more views. And I will say something about shorts. Couple weeks back, I was doing a bunch of Steely Dan tunes, which I had spent a lot of time doing in April into May. One of them was Royal Scam. I did a short of Royal Scam. And as I posted the video into YouTube, short of Royal Scam, they basically said, hey, do you want to share the revenue? Because on shorts, you can share the revenue. Well, I almost got a copyright strike for sharing the revenue on Royal Scam, believe it or not. They sent me a note saying, you're going to get a strike for this video. And it wasn't the Royal Scam video I put out, which I wasn't sharing anything. I would just put it out as a drum cover and they can make all the money they wanted off of it. You know, it was their video to do what they wanted. It was the short they wanted to give me a strike on. So you got to be careful with the shorts too, even though they're telling you that. I didn't get a copyright strike and I never heard from them again, but it was kind of crazy. And I'm realizing that our world, that this YouTube world we're in is really kind of volatile and changing. And I'm blessed that like 100 people watch my videos in the first couple days. Usually in the first day, I get 100 people to watch my videos. That's a big deal. I remember a friend of mine about 7 years ago named Michael Johnson, who used to put up his worship team doing the worship set. He would do every video and he would get 2,000 views in the first day because worship drummers were all over watching the newest worship drummer to post the newest song. I don't know if that day is there anymore unless you're a guy that's got, 50,000 followers or 30,000 followers. I don't know if there's anybody that gets, anybody that's got less than 10,000 followers that's getting more than 100 to 200 views in the first day. And if you're lucky, getting pushed into the feed to get more followers. So YouTube's become very hard to do and very hard to get any traction with. And there's some great new channels, which I hope to feature some of the new channels in the next coming months. Some of the channels I'm finding, because I really would like to help these guys get a solid footing out there, and they're putting out some really great content. There's one guy named Eddie who does all kinds of like cymbal reviews and snare drums and Rogers drums, and he's a very knowledgeable guy. I really enjoy his content, and there's a bunch more guys like that. Now, from my perspective of YouTube and the cover world that I'm in, I do want to say thank you to one of my followers who, I think he asked me to play this song. It was the Casting Crown song. I forget what the name of the song is, believe it or not, James. But Glorious, something glorious. Anyhow, I played it. It was right around Easter time, I guess I put it out. And anyhow, he loves the song. He's watched it so many times. I don't know if he is 1,000 of the 1,300 views I have on that song. He likes it so much. So James Lyons, thank you for watching my videos. That's all I can say. But for the most part, the people who watch my videos on a daily basis, thank you, every one of you. I've been taking more requests lately, trying to get to more requests. And some of those requests are in my queue to do eventually. They will eventually get done. So I just wanted you all to know that. This month I didn't get a lot of Ask Earl Anything questions, believe it or not. I also cleaned up my backlog of comments I never read for the last 7 years while I was in Italy, sitting on my balcony looking at the Bay of Naples one day. So in cleaning up, I found a couple questions and things that might be put into today's show, just to let you know what's going on. So they're so old, nobody will even remember they even asked me that question probably. Some of them were 3, 4, 7 years ago. So I cleaned up my my YouTube studio, and I cleaned up the backlog of comments. I try to stay on top of my comments, as you all know. I usually respond with at least a heart. And if I don't do a heart, I actually write something every time. And I try to write something unique, even though I do have a couple things like thanks for the feedback or thanks for watching. But then I'll usually add something like your name or a couple other things to it. I really try to engage with you all that like to engage. So please know I'm trying best I can in my time space. YouTube is not my full-time job. My full-time job is my safety director job, and I'm very engaged in work. There's a lot of things going on where I'm at in my day job. The weekends are for drumming and YouTube, and I have a lot of fun with YouTube and making covers. So I'm doing things that make me happy. That's why I did all those Steely Dan songs, and I probably have a couple more in there I'm going to do. And I'm working on some other songs that are making me happy. And sometimes you guys send me on a path. You say, hey, can you do this? And I go, oh, that's a cool song. Let me try something else. And I do something else. So you guys are an inspiration for keeping me going and keeping me doing what I do. But my sweet spot is the yacht rock covers. That seems to be what I do best. But I also like to do jazz once in a while, Fusac once in a while, smooth jazz, whatever you want to call it. And I will do that oddball album song that I remember as a kid. Like, I love that album and I love that song, and I'll just do it out of nowhere. So I'm having fun with it. I have a friend on YouTube. Some of you are friends with him too. His name is Trey B. Check his channel out. Trey is a consummate metal drummer. He could do anything. He's double bass, double kick patterns, amazing showman. But he loves all music. I know that. And he was commenting I could play anything. Well, I really don't play metal very well, as some of you know. I have done a few things. I've tried Metallica and Van Halen. It's not my sweet spot, so I don't really go there very often. But once in a while, I will do something in that genre, because it is something that I have done in my past. You know, my age kind of puts me in the definitely the 80s hair metal stuff. I did some of that kind of music. I was in a band that we kind of had our hair up for a while, but I wasn't Poison or anything. But you know, that Poison and Twisted Sister and all that stuff is definitely in my wheelhouse to do. It's just heavy music. it's just not what I love doing. I love doing something a little more complicated. That's why the Steely Dan kind of resonates with me. So anyhow, I'm going to get into the few questions I have today. I'm sorry I'm rambling today, but you know, that's part of Ask Earl Anything, as you all know, is the rambling. So let's see where we go. We're going to start with a question from Zach Drums Golf. Zach has been a friend almost from the beginning. His question was, what new songs do you have in store for us? Great starting question, I thought. So in April and May, I was doing a lot of Steely Dan. I got asked to do a cover of Derek and the Dominoes, and I did the song. I don't remember the name of it. It was kind of cool. I did another Derek and the Dominoes song. Songs in the queue that I've got going on right now that are just sitting there. I've got an Alice Cooper song, but it's not what you expect. it's one that you would expect me to play when you hear it. You go, oh, that's definitely Earl's wheelhouse. But when I say Alice Cooper, you would think it's something else probably, which is kind of funny. But Alice Cooper, I got a Bryan Adams, Tina Turner song I'm going to probably do soon. I just did Tina Turner's Proud Mary just for Tina Turner, rest in peace. Wonderful lady, wonderful performer. There's a whole bunch of songs that sit in the queue. I'm going to be doing some more Earth, Wind, and Fire because I love Earth, Wind, and Fire. I found some songs I used to practice to. I had their greatest hits back in the 90s. I used to play these songs. So I've got a bunch of those that I'm going to be putting in. Couple more Billy Joel songs. I love Billy Joel. I found some more of the songs from the Attic type songs. So they're a little bit more orchestrated than playing something like My Life or something, you know. So I'm going to be doing some more of those. I love being able to use the concert tom kit. And by the way, I am now on a hunt for a 6-inch fiberglass tom. I can tell you that I'm on a hunt for it. And that's a funny story because we were in Italy with my wife, and my wife had a dream, and she woke up with the dream, and there was this thing about a 6-inch tom, a 6-inch tom. I never talk about this 6-inch tom, and she has a dream about a 6-inch tom. So she's like, we got to get you that 6-inch tom for your birthday. Now, my birthday's the end of August, so if anybody has a line on a fiberglass Pearl 70s 6-inch tom solo, I'll take a look at it. Now, I do have this thing about price. That's been my problem. And I've seen guys asking for a ridiculous amount of money for a 6-inch tom. That's why I've refused to buy it. But I do feel it's time to complete this kit. And that 5.5 by 6 to go with the rest of the toms, and maybe someday a 16 by 16 floor tom or a 14 by 14 floor tom or even a 16 by 18 floor tom would really make this kit complete. But when it comes to playing this kit, there's just nothing like it on 70s tunes, yacht rock tunes, and I really enjoy the sound I get out of these drums. Right now I've got Ambassador clears on the top. I've been using pinstripes most of the last year, and nothing else to say about it. I mean, I've got my sound dialed in on this kit. This room, this kit, this is dialed in. My favorite accoutrement of this kit is Paiste Cymbals, which leads me to my next question that I get asked a lot, believe it or not. I was doing Any Major Dude Will Tell You by Steely Dan, another obscure Jim Gordon tune. And this guy, Timothy Scanlon, said, nice job. Hi-hat sounds great. What are they? So, again, we're talking about the famous now. These are my famous pair of cymbals. This is a Paiste 505 1984 medium hi-hat bottom. It weighs about 990 grams. That's the gram weight on it, 990. I'm using it as the top cymbal of my second bottom cymbal, which is the Paiste 2000 regular series. And this is a Sound Edge hi-hat bottom. I bought this for about $100 about 2 years ago. And it's got the ripples, you know, and it weighs about 12 grams. So 1,112 grams bottom. So that pairing of the 1112 grams with the 990 grams makes an incredibly nice chick sound, and it's something that I really enjoy playing. And a lot of guys seem to like it because I've had that question. Another guy has 11 drums asked me that question last month. So that's the hi-hat combination. Now I have a second Paiste special hi-hat combination I'm using on my other kit these days, which is a 2000 Paiste 2000. I bought it to go on top of this Sound Edge, but it never sounded right to me. Sound Reflector Sound Edge top was like 800 and I don't know if it's 86 grams or something. It's not quite 900 grams, but that cymbal doesn't sound as good on this as what it does sound good on, which is a 14-inch Rude bottom cymbal from my 1984 Rude cymbals, which my wife bought for me in 1984 when we moved into a house in Asbury Park. Had some money at the closing, and she bought me that pair of hi-hats. I used them for years. They were my main hi-hats from 1984 until probably about 1990. I got a set of 13-inch Sabians, and I had gone Sabian. So I started using 13-inch Sabians a lot, but every once in a while I'd pull out the 14-inch Rudes. So a good 20 years of the Rudes being there. Matter of fact, the keyholing on the top cymbal tells you that. I don't pull out the Rude set that often anymore, but they sound great too. That's my second pairing of hi-hat cymbals. So you will see that a lot more on the other kit, the Gretsch kit. By the way, Gretsch just came out with a new documentary for 2023. Check it out. Vinny Colaiuta narrates it a little bit, but it's mostly the artists that are on it, and it's a great story about the Gretsch history. I think Gretsch it's their 140th year in business, so 2023 is a big year for Gretsch. By the way, last year around this time, I went to the Gretsch factory, met the builder Paul of all the drums for Gretsch. It was just an incredible time. Thank my friend Mark in South Carolina who got me in there. Lots of cool things, lots of stories. I should probably do something with the videos I have of the footage from the factory. It was incredible to see how Gretsch drums are made, the old machinery they use and everything. And my old 79 Gretsch, like they said in this documentary, you got an old kit. It's like a badge having one of these kits. I'll never sell that kit. That kit is just, my grandkids are going to get that kit one day. So it's an amazing kit. All right, I had to come back. I finished the show and I realized I missed a question, and I didn't have that many questions on the show. So because of that, I'm either going to insert this or end with this question. I haven't decided which at this point. This is from a longtime Ask Earl Anything follower named Vince Gomez, and he asked a question. Big thumbs up, Earl. This was on Proud Mary Rest in Peace video. This is after I got back from Italy. He says, I was watching your old video about Lope. How do you get it so fast? For Ask Earl Anything, any secrets on getting the Lope faster or just putting practice time in to gradually getting faster? Thanks. So, Vince, because I'm inserting this, when we talk about Lope, the video about Lope is all about hi-hat, getting different kinds of vibes on the hi-hat. Specifically, I was probably talking about the way Jeff Porcaro does these things with the 16th notes probably, but Lope has to do with the feel you get off the hi-hat. And there's different ways people play the hi-hat. A lot of times when you play the simple basic rock beat, a lot of times the way most people start is this. Now, nothing wrong with that. Maybe it's appropriate for certain songs, but there's other ways to play that same beat. So less lighter hi-hat, maybe inconsistent, maybe up and down hi-hat. And when I talk about Lope, what I'm talking about is I'm really talking about that kind of inner dynamic that's in a groove. So the classic one is that I keep forgetting groove. So how do I develop that 16th note speed? How do I develop the accenty things? Truthfully, it is practice. Whenever we talk about getting that kind of a pattern, it's about practicing. And the way you practice is you practice things like just your singles, but you keep working them faster. That's one way you could do it, or you could just start working your speed up on the 16th note patterns. A lot of times when I start a song that might have like I just did this Billy Joel tune. I actually released it today, the day I'm doing this video. It was You're My Home. It's kind of fast. So it's now, when I first started playing that song yesterday, because it was something I recorded yesterday, it was a little bit of a challenge. But as I got into it more and I practiced it, I was playing along with it more, I was starting to find my 16th note space. Now, what I will do sometimes to get around something that's that fast is I will do cheaters, and I call them, I'll do like threes and not play consistently all the way through. Open hi-hats help to also add a cheater in where I get a little rest of that thing on the hi-hat. So playing that 16th note thing is, first off, an exercise to get your speed up on your hand, your right hand, or your left hand, however you're playing it. The next thing is, how do you incorporate the lope? That's a hearing thing. It's basically hearing the inner dynamic and feeling it with the music. And a lot of it has to do with the music. The music kind of drives that home, that 16th note thing. I'm doing a couple Earth, Wind, and Fire tunes where I've got that kind of inner dynamic issue going on too with the 16th notes. So developing it, sitting at a pad, working your singles up, and doing an exercise like that kind of an exercise on a pad with a metronome, working speed up, will eventually build more consistent 16th notes. Now, The inner Lope thing, hearing the inner dynamic, a lot of listening also helps that. Listening to songs in a different way where you're focusing on some of the breakdown in the drum kit. The one thing that's consistent in rock music is the 2 and the 4, you know. So that's always going to be louder than whatever you play on the hi-hat in rock music. As opposed to with jazz, you know, when you're playing jazz music, the kick and the snare is quite low and everything is all about the ride cymbal. Cymbal is what you want to come out in a jazz song, but not in a rock song, not so much, you know. Thanks for the question, a great question. Hopefully I explained it a little bit, and hopefully my my vibe is happening. So anyhow, thanks for the question, Vince. Let's go the other direction. I had a question from a guy named Gray. He said, I have some Istanbul Gops that I love, 24 signature, 22 special edition with rivets. He said, I was thinking of checking out some Paiste stuff, particularly the signature traditional line. Do you have any suggestions? Now, Gray, based on your love of dark cymbals, when we talk about Paistes, what I love about Paistes are the B8 alloy, and I love the brightness of the Paistes. I love the way they cut through, and they're different than everybody that's going for the dark thing. I had my season of dark, trust me. For most of my drumming career, I was looking for that magical dark cymbal. Now, in the 80s, I found Sabian HHs, but they're really not that magical dark cymbal, that Tony Williams cymbal. In 2014, I bought a 22-inch Corbra, which was the darkest, thinnest ride cymbal I've ever owned, and I still own it. And it's got that Tony thing, but not, I don't play like Tony, so it doesn't sound like Tony. It sounds like me playing a dark, thin ride cymbal. And I love that cymbal, and I have it. But it doesn't really work for pop. It is a jazz cymbal. And if you're playing real bebop jazz, getting the Istanbul Gops and all that is great. Or if you're playing in a worship setting or this new setting where everybody wants to ride heavily on the 22 and get that washy thing, the thin ride cymbals work for that. So knowing that's your sound, when it comes to Paiste, the traditionals are great. The traditional light rides or medium light rides are the way to go. 22 or a 20, those would really work really nice. There's also the Paiste, let's see what we like to call it. The dark rides, the Master Series, the dark. So the 22 Dark Ride Master Series is really a nice ride cymbal too. And I think if you look at the Vinny cymbal, the Formula 602 Modern Essentials, it's a nice dark ride, but it's got more of a ping like a Paiste 2002 or the Paiste Big Beats. And I love my 22-inch Big Beat. It is completely different than this 22-inch Paiste Ride 2002. They're both 2002s, but the Big Beat's got a hammering to it and a thinness, and it's a little darker for a Paiste B8 cymbal. It's kind of a darker cymbal. So you might want to check out the Big Beats. Those are some really nice cymbals too. But the Paiste Master Series Dark are really cool. The Paistes, traditional line, great cymbals to buy for that dark thing. They're different. The Paistes still have that shimmer to it that only Paiste has. And you don't get that in the Zildjian Dark. So I find my Corbras are dark. They're really dark. Now, they work great in an acoustic vibe, an acoustic room. I used to play in a wooden church for the most part and no miking and stuff. And those cymbals were perfect in that room. They would not cut the room like the Paistes cut the room like you couldn't believe. Straight through it. Boom. The Zildjian Cropes, I had a 19 and a 22 and a set of 14-inch hats. I still have them. They don't cut the room. Now, I was trying to get that Zildjian sound, but also get more of a Paiste thing, and like my big beat. And I ended up buying an Avidus 22 that I would use a lot more for pop things because it was thin, but it would cut through. But if you're looking for dark Paistes, you're really looking at traditionals or masters. That's where you're going to go to. Unless you want to try, and I will tell you, there's different types of dark too. I have a Paiste signature, what do they call them? Paiste signature ride. It's a Mach 1 dark. It's like a dry ride. It's like a dark dry ride. Gosh, I'm forgetting everything today, man. You can tell I've been in Italy for a couple of weeks because I am not in cymbal land. But I have a really nice Paiste 20-inch dark. Dark energy, that's what they're called. Dark energy ride, Mach 1. So the Mach 1 is the dry, it's drier. It's a dry dark. So it's different. There's a difference between the thin dark and the dry dark, which is a little heavier, but it's got that ping to it, So it really, there's tons of cymbals to go for here, we're talking about. Paiste's got lots of them, but if you're looking dark, masters, and then the traditionals, that's the place to go for that thinner Istanbul style dark. Now there's a billion new Istanbul style dark cymbal companies. Matter of fact, the new thing they're saying for 2023 is going to be boutique cymbal makers, like Timothy Roberts of Revere Drums, or Reverie Drums, I forget how you pronounce it, but he's now reworking cymbals and making cymbals from blanks. I don't know what they cost, but this is the new thing. There's a bunch of these new cymbal makers. Nicky Moon's another guy, Timothy Roberts, Nicky Moon. There's a guy in Denmark or something, starts with an F, Fanuk, or something like that. So there's a bunch of them now coming out, and it seems like that's going to become the new wave to getting your sound. But everybody's using B20. And to be honest with you, I love my Paistes because they're totally different than all that stuff. So I've been like my B20 sits in the cymbal rack, and I barely pull it out anymore unless I'm playing a live gig. And the Paistes are up for everything, and it cuts through my mixes great. Nothing but nice things to say about Paiste B8, 2002, 505. That alloy, I love that alloy, giant beat alloy. And I don't know. So I'm that guy. That's me. So, but thanks for the question, Gray. Rich Raw Dog, my friend Rich. Check his channel out, Raw Dog Drums. Rich Raw Dog Drums asked, this was on the last cover I did before I went to Italy. Drumming is always so smooth and feels great. How do you like the Tama glide pedals? Now, I have an Iron Cobra Flexi-Glide pedals for this kit and that kit. Flexi-Glide has the strap. I will tell you that the Tama Iron Cobra pedals are as good and as consistent as any DW pedal that I've ever played. I happen to really love the Iron Cobras. They're smooth and they work really well. I do not have one with a chain. My Iron Cobras are the Flexi-Glides that have the strap. I recommend them to anybody that's looking for a strap drive pedal, which is a little different than going with a chain drive sprocket pedal. Now I have a Campco sprocket too that I love, but I don't know. There's something about the strap just feels a little bit better to me. It goes back to my days of playing a Gretsch floating action pedal. But there are so many great pedals today. All I can say to you is find the pedal that works for you, and not every pedal works for everybody. I mean, if you're doing speed metal, you may find that you need the speed Cobras or the Iron Cobras with the different cams and the different chains and stuff. For what I do, my foot, and what I'm able to do, this Flexi-Glide Strap pedal, Iron Cobra is fine. It works great for me and I love it. So that's the truth about that, Rich. Thanks for that question. And I have been using them for about 20 years. I bought my first, this pedal that's on this kit I bought in 2004 at Resurrection Drums. I think it was $115. And the funny thing was, I went into Res Drums that day to buy an old Gretsch floating action pedal. And they had an old Gretsch floating action pedal that was beat up, really beat up bad. And he was charging $100 for the Gretsch floating action pedal in 2004. And I looked at him, I said, "You're kidding me." And he goes, "Yeah, if you really want a pedal that's just like it, but better," he said, "try this Tama pedal." And he pulled the Tama pedal out. It was $114. I said, "I think you're right. I'm going to buy the Tama pedal." And that's what I did. A couple years later, a friend of mine would give me a Camco from the 60s with a strap on it. They gave me that same, it's the exact pedal of the floating action Gretsch pedal. And I've used that for years. It's sitting up there on the shelf. That Camco pedal is great for light jazz. It's great for a light gig. It's not good for anything powerful. These Tama pedals are made to play rock and roll or anything. Matter of fact, the reason why I bought the Flexi-Glide was because Simon Phillips used to use the Flexi-Glide. I don't know if he still does or not, but that was one of the reasons why. All right. Next question comes from my friend Greg Oneoff. Greg is another one of my daily followers. Thank you, Greg, for following me all the time. Greg's question is, he says, "Today when I practice, I put in earbuds and I cover them with protective earphones," meaning probably like gun muffs. "By doing this, it keeps the drum pounding sound to a minimum so I can hear the music up too loud. My question is there a way to hear the music and be protected and have outside listener be able to both hear the music and the drumming?" All right. First off, Greg, I would recommend getting a pair of in-ear monitors, inexpensive in-ear monitors. I'm not saying you have to go out and get what I have, which is custom molded in-ear monitors I bought in 2013. Mine were 1964 ears. Now they're just called 64 ears. They were triple drivers. I bought them. I was in a worship band playing every Sunday with a click track in my head. I bought them. I used them only at church for about 5-7 years. And then I guess it was about 4 years ago, almost 4 years ago, after my son passed, I stopped using headphones on my covers and started using my in-ears. And I was playing at a church we weren't using in-ear monitors, and I thought they don't need to be my bag anymore. And they're not. And I use them all the time, and they are the greatest because they block sound. There's sound isolation from the drums, and you keep the volume down low because they're in your ear. You can't crank them up or you'll blow your eardrums out. So I really work hard at keeping my volumes way down before I put them in my ear. I actually turn the volume off usually, then I put them in my ear so I don't blow my ears out. Because when you got something stuck in your ear that's molded to your ear, you're actually blocking sound from getting in anywhere else, but it's going to blow your ears out if you crank it up. So you got to look at your volumes. That's a big deal. So I'd recommend getting a cheap set of in-ear monitors, somewhere around $50. I did a video on this one Japanese company that, I don't know if they were Japanese, I think they were a Chinese company. They sent me in-ears about 3 years ago. I've used them a few times in the studio. I don't use them very often, but you can get a pair of, just put IEM in-ear monitors, and you can get a set of in-ear monitors that will block the drums and give you a more controlled sound in your ears. Just got to turn the volume down. Now, as far as loudness in your room so others can hear it, that all has to do with your PA system. Are you using a PA system to listen to your music? Do you have a direct feed to listen to headphones so you can have music? I have studio monitors. I can leave the studio monitors on while I'm playing and somebody in the room could listen to me. I normally don't do that because normally that could get into the microphones. But there's ways to do that, but it requires having a separate feed for your headphones from whatever you're going to use for your speakers for your room. Also, you'll find if you're recording that the bleed back into your microphones will affect your recording in some way. So not having the bleed back helps me not to have to deal with that in my mixes. So I just have drums in my mixes. My microphones pick up drums. There's no music. My music is in my ears. That's how I make drum covers. That's how a studio sets you up to record. You don't want to have the playback getting into the mics, so it affects how you can mix the mics later on down the road, especially if you're doing overdubs and stuff. Like when you're in a recording situation and you got a vocal that's a scratch vocal in your headphones, and then you basically get it bleeds into the overheads, or the click bleeds in the overheads. When you got to try to mix, it's a nightmare getting rid of the click. It's a nightmare getting rid of the bad vocal that's being replaced anyhow. So I've learned the in-ears keep it in, nothing gets out, and nothing gets up in the headphone. It gets up in the overheads, and I don't have to deal with the bleed of the track getting into it when you're recording. It just makes it cleaner. So that's my suggestion to you, Greg. I hope that helps. So, but it's your system outside of yours. It's a two-part question. What's your system setup? Is it a PA system? If it's a PA system, you got that blowing, and then you also got headphone stuff. The in-ears will help you. You can turn the headphones down and let the thing blow all over the room, and it won't be a problem. Everybody can hear what you're playing to. That'll work. So, all right. Next question comes from my friend Yuri Jones from Wales. Yuri's a longtime listener and follower and friend. He said, really enjoy your show, Earl. He says, it's good to hear you're on the mend. This was from my last show, my last Ask Earl. He says, question, advice on cleaning and repairing shells, removing scratches, corrosion on old drums, hoops, and shells. All right. Definitely not an expert at this. When it comes to cleaning shells, good wood polish cleaners works great on wood drums. If you got that wood finish, anything with a plastic covering, there's something called Novus. I think they use it for like Vistolate drums. It's like a car conditioner that kind of rubs into plastics on cars and it's not abrasive, but cleans really well. I think it's called Novus 3 or Novus 4, I think is what it's called. I would stay away from anything abrasive that's going to scratch your shells. That's what you want to avoid. Now, as far as touching up, I will tell you, color matching and things like that's really hard. Whenever I get a ding in my my Gretsch kit, and I've had quite a few dings in that kit, I have a tendency to go to a magic marker, a red magic marker, and kind of blend it in the hole a little bit, and just in where it's sticking out, the wood is kind of like exposed in some way, I'll just cover that up. That's a cheap way. There's lots of furniture paint things that you can buy that might get close, or other color things that will help. But those are just a few little tricks I've used over the years. I'm definitely not an expert on repairing scratches and stuff. Matter of fact, I look at the scratches and the dings and all that stuff as kind of the marks that basically say, hey, this is a drum that's been used and played and lived in. None of my gear is immaculate collector grade gear. I don't even care about collector grade gear. What I care about is player grade usable gear that sounds great. So I will tell you, sometimes the ugliest drum sounds great, and I'd play the ugliest drum if it sounds great. If you're into player grade, if you're into collector grade stuff, you won't be getting very much. You have to look really hard, and it costs a lot of money. I know guys that buy like collector snare drums, like like when William F. Ludwig signed a bunch of titanium snare drums from Dunnett, and they were numbered 1 to 100, and you basically got it with a case and everything. Those drums sit in the case; they don't come out. That way, the value goes up. But I got this Noble Coolley here that was a different color. I sent it back to the factory. They put a new color on it for me. They fixed it all up, made it pretty and nice. It's 1994 shell. Sounds amazing. And I'm playing the snot out of it. And it's a player drum as far as I'm not, I might get $1,000 for it if I tried to sell it, but I'm not going to sell it. It's going to get handed to my grandkid. That's going to happen. My grandson's going to get it one day, or my son-in-law is going to get it one day. One of my grandkids is going to get it. They want to be a drummer. There's lots of drum gear here. Or one day my kids will sell it off and make some money off it. I don't care at that point. I won't be here at that point. So that's the other realization I'm going through in life. I don't know if you guys realize that. More on that in the months ahead. Don't feel like talking about that one today. Let's see what else. Any other questions for Ask Earl Anything that I have here? Oh, I got a couple oldie questions. I'm hanging around. Let's see. I don't know if that was a question or not. I found some old comments. I went back to Ask Earl Anything number 11, and I got a comment from my friend Mike Fasano. And I guess I must have been talking about YouTube and Facebook and where to post stuff. And it's funny, I kind of started there today with the Instagram and the shorts and stuff. It's really apparent to me that what we call YouTube and what we call social media today is so invasive and changing. And Rick Beato had this thing about how AI is changing the way we watch videos and how we create videos and how we create music. The world's getting scarier, guys. It's getting much scarier, actually, where we're going in the new world. And the new world of music is kind of scary too. But the one thing I promise you is that the stuff that I will do will be real drummers playing with real music, having a fun time doing it. That's my goal of my channel. Thank you for watching Ask Earl Anything. This is the show where your questions make the show. And if I don't have questions, I don't have a show. I want to thank you all for following me and watching me, and liking and subscribing and sharing or whatever you guys do with my videos. It is appreciated. Everybody, have a great June. Hopefully I'll get a bunch of questions for July. And if I don't, we'll have a short show. Anyhow, God bless. Or as we say in Italy, arrivederci. Arrivederci. Bye, everybody. Ciao, ciao.